Welcome. I am your host, and my name is Britton. Today, I wanted to just share a couple things before we get into the conversation. And one of the most important things I want to share with you is that I am not a psychologist or psychiatrist. I just have a lot of experience with suicide ideology and living that life, so I understand it well. I do talk to therapists and psychologists, but this channel is for hopefully useful information that you can apply to your life that has worked for ourselves and our own growth and the people I talk to. So just keep that in mind. And at Ashes to Life Coaching, I'm here to help you transform your pain into purpose, to take that and help you find your true nature so you can live a happy and prosperous and peaceful life. It is possible. So if you're interested in that type of coaching, you want to move from this hamster wheel that's been controlling your life, and you want to move into a life that is fulfilling. Let me know. I'll put the information where I can be contacted in the description below. And I hope to be talking to you soon. If you'd like to support any of our guests, I'll put all the links in the description below. If you'd like to support the Suicide Monk podcast, I'll also put the description or the link for the GoFundMe in the description below. Lord, oh Lord, can't get my words straight. Please like and subscribe. It helps our channel grow. It helps information get out there, especially this information that's really good for folks with mental health and suicide ideology. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side. See you on the good side. Peace. And before we start our conversation, a word from a friend.
Hi, I'm Scarlet Ravin, and I am the head alchemist and founder of White Fox Medicinals, which is an all-organic, earth-based plant medicine remedy company where I make effect-based tinctures and topicals to help you feel healed, whole, and totally loved. I have stuff like the Repair Remedy Salve that will take out inflammation and pain from your muscles and your body. Other things that actually boost your spiritual inner love, like the Wild Starseed Love Cream. When you put this on, you smell intense aromas of deep Aztec chocolate, which awakens this love inside of your heart. This is edible. You can use it as a body cream. I also have a whole line of tinctures. Some of them heal the nervous system. Some of them boost your body's ability to heal itself. So whatever you're seeking for whole physical balance, that's going to incorporate your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirit, then I have some beautiful healing offerings for you. So go check it out at whitefoxmedicinals.com. And I'm happy to get you all set up.
Well, welcome to the Suicide Monk, and I am your host, and my name is Britton. Today we have a friend of mine, Scarlet Ravin. We met through a mutual friend, and she has been so kind and so generous and so incredible to me, and has gifted me with some of her products. She is the owner of White Fox Medicinals, and she is a traveler of the world and is educated, highly educated in the world of spiritual kind of awakening and following and those kinds of things. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's a beautiful intro. I'll take it.
Thank you. I'm just going off what you told me from our chat. I don't know why my volume's on. I'm sorry. You came across my radar from a friend, and then we just we have a lot of things in common in our path and the way we walk, and it was just so beautiful to me to meet somebody as brilliant as you in this walk, and it was so enlightening for me and comforting, because it feels so alone at times to have discovery in your life and not feel like you're able to share that fully. And people might not totally understand it, but you're on the right path, and you're going in the right direction. You know where you've come from, and and it's kind of evolved, and it shows up in this way in this beautiful spiritual life. So tell me a little bit about your past, your growing up, kind of the thing. Who were you?
Who was I? I've been many people. There's probably so many versions of Scarlet out there. Um, I remember as a kid being born completely wild, just really feeling at one with nature, feeling at one with dirt and animals and plants. And my imagination was next level. I mean, I can't remember a time in my childhood when I wasn't in my imagination, and I was super obsessed with horses. So I thought I was a horse for till I was like 13, 14, when, things change in the world of women. But up until that point, I would gallop on all fours. I would jump jumps. If I wasn't with horses, I was pretending I was a horse. I was drinking water out of bowls and things like that. And then, like, when I would be on the school bus to school, I would be riding my horse next to the school bus, and I'd be jumping all the stop signs and everything that we encountered. So that's like my primary memory is a child whose imagination is pretty wild and like an unstoppable force. And then my point of attraction to life and what felt good and what felt spiritual was through animals and through plants. I didn't feel, and I know that I don't have kids myself, so I'm not sharing this to, judge how parents parent, but I knew when adults were not being honest with me. I could feel not like a lie, because adults have to tell kids certain things to keep them safe. Like, there's logistical stuff that has to go on. So
Right.
I just always felt I took this perception of humans that, like, humans aren't super honest, and I didn't understand that. Whereas I felt like animals were very transparent. They were very loving. They were very honest. And so I've always been magnetized towards that transparency of truth. To me, truth is like love or God. It's like all the same feeling. So I was attracted to this truth and transparency. And now that I'm older, I'm like, I was attracted to God. I was attracted to true love. True love is honest and transparent. So thank God I had so many spiritual teachers all around me. I had all these animals. And then when it got time to start thinking about like adulting or becoming someone that someone else had to be proud of, like fitting into the societal structures, like we all kind of have to do at some point. Well, we don't have to, but we think we have to. So we try to. That's just a whole mental misperception on our own parts. But when I tried to do what I thought other people wanted me to do, then I was in a state of like, super unhappy. And I noticed quite quickly with like, I don't want to use certain words that are going to get your channel not shown, but like using substances. And at first they were light and they were green substances or brown substances, but then they went into other substances. So I was attracted to that because that allowed me to be in society without having to feel the massive amounts of things I was always feeling. So besides me being super imaginative and into this animal kingdom, I was also extremely sensitive. Like I could go into a room and I could feel what every single person was feeling in that room. So my energetic input of how I experience reality can be extremely overwhelming if there's more than like 2 or 3 people present. And I didn't have the tools or the awareness on how to navigate that. So the easiest fix was numb out. So I took the numb out route just due to lack of education and mental maturity until I had an overdose in my mid-20s. And that's kind of when like my whole life was like shown to me, like a life review of like, what do you want? Do you want to leave or do you want to stay and like discover unlimited peace and happiness? And I was like, well, at this point I have nothing to lose. I want to discover unlimited peace and happiness. So that was how I got to my spiritual life. And then it was kind of off from there.
Wow. So that overdose kind of pushed you in that direction then.
It was like a marker on my timeline that said, you know, you came here to do something, Scarlet. You came here to do something great. And we're going to flash that reminder in front of you. Like, it felt like my spiritual guides were like, hey, like, wake up. You have other work to do here. Stop partying. and so it was like a wake up call from within almost. And the, seeing how it affected the people around me, what I had done was enough for me to want to change. I don't think I was aware of how my actions were actually like killing my parents and the people that loved me. And I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted to figure out how to be someone else.
That's wild. It's hard to listen to that internal voice and then to take action on it. Yeah, actually, you hear the voice, but so many people don't have the strength in them to take the action on it. And they don't think they have the strength. They haven't been shown that they have the strength. We get so caught up in the fear of letting go of something that's destroying us that it keeps us right there. So it's really, I love that you've taken that adversity and heard your internal voice and the things that were around you to tell you, and listen to the signs and the voices to say this is enough. And, you know, it's an invitation. It's never a requirement, but that invitation to life happens if we just listen to that voice. And so many people don't accept that invitation. And that's kind of what has happened to me. I finally accepted the invitation. The work is still hard. The work is really hard, you know, but I put so much energy into being broken that if I just transfer a portion of that energy into repairing and accepting and loving, it'll blossom in ways that I never imagined. And we've kind of talked about that. And you've been on some fascinating journeys to learn more about spirituality and the spiritual world, and for that narrative of your own life. What types of things have you done, and the places that you've been to learn these things?
I started at Esalen. So Esalen is like a spiritual center in Big Sur, California. And I went there and I did a 7-day retreat as a guest, or a 5-day retreat as a guest. And that was led by a guy who actually became my personal counselor for like the next 7 years, Joe Kavanaugh. He's since passed, but he led a workshop called How Our Wounds Can Lead to Healing. And in that workshop, I had been in a romantic relationship. So I was like mid-20s. I had been in a romantic relationship when I was just 18 that was extremely physically abusive. And I had never shared that with anyone. And somehow not sharing that story kept me in this charged place of wanting to numb out. But when I was on that 5-day retreat, so I don't know if you know Esalen, but it hangs off the cliffs of Big Sur. And then it's, this has been going on. Alan Watts, was someone who helped start it. So It was that era of truth seekers that got together and started this kind of retreat spiritual center. And it has natural hot springs. The earth itself is healing. Like, you don't even have to take a workshop. You can just go and stay there and you'll get like experiences of healing and enlightenment. There's something in the earth there. So I was at this retreat and I actually, I was still kind of detoxing. And so I had a headache and I wasn't feeling good. And I didn't share the whole week. And then on the last day, Joe came up to me and he was like, "Are you in there? Are you going to get your money's worth? Are you going to be a bystander?" And that still didn't move me. I was like, whatever. I was like, I have a headache. I can barely hear you. And then this other guy who was in the workshop, I'll change his name to Dan. We were sitting there and, you have to volunteer to share. And Joe was like, does anyone want to volunteer? And Stuart grabbed my hand. He's like, she's going to share now. And so I got up and I shared, and I really thought that everyone was going to look at me like I had done something wrong to deserve this. I thought that this whole time I chose the guy, I stayed with him for X amount of time. I didn't report to the cops when they got called on us for domestic violence. Like, I participated. Like, I felt like it was my fault on some level. And when I shared that, and then everyone reflected back to me, they were all crying and they were like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. You're so beautiful. I wasn't sure. I never expected that to be the reception. And that somehow shifted me enough to show me that I was completely magical, that I was like this magical being that had this higher purpose. And I really hadn't felt that since I was like 5, So I was like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I'm amazing. And then all of a sudden I had zero interest in drugs and alcohol. It was gone. People were like, you're going to need NA and AA. And I'm like, I literally feel healed. I was like, no, I'm healed. I'm born again. Like, I don't want anything. I don't want anything to take away from this natural high I was feeling. And that showed me a glimpse of what I could have. So I went back to Denver. I sold everything I had and I applied for a work trade with Esalen. And I got accepted to like wash dishes in the kitchen. So I moved into the Esalen is like here, and then down the coast 1 mile is called I think it's called East Coast, and that's where staff lives. So I moved into where staff lived. And I was, working in the kitchen 5 days a week, but that gave me access to the land, and that gave me access to the hot springs. And that was like the beginning part of my spiritual journey. So when you're in a situation or a setting like that, you're going to meet all kinds of incredible beings. Yeah. Like I had the network of anyone that was a divinity seeker. I had the best Rolodex. So I was meeting all these people. I was hearing about other retreat centers. And Esalen was very hard for me to live at because the staff was in love with like acid and ecstasy and stuff like that. But the guests who were coming were very sober. And I just felt alone in the staff environment because my path was just complete sobriety at that point. So I found another retreat center in upstate Ithaca, New York, that was run by a Zen monk and a whirling dervish, and they hosted these raw food detox retreats. So I went and applied for a job there, and I was making food for people that wanted to alkaline their body to heal cancer and stuff. But then I got all the Zen monk Dharma teachings, the Zazen meditation practices, the Sufi whirling dervish trainings, and it really just started from there. So then, I could go into every single individual retreat I've done, but it would be like a 3-hour episode. But I did. I traveled the world. I went to Germany. I went to Costa Rica. I went to Ireland. I went to Africa. I went everywhere. Anywhere that I saw or knew of someone that did something that spoke to my heart, I dropped everything and I went there. And if I didn't have the money, I would like stay with my parents and I would like, waitress or be a busser for like 3 months, save all my tips, and then I would like jump off again.
Wow.
Because not all of the experiences were work trades.
Right. That was going to be my next question. How did you fund it? And that's the beautiful thing. When you find the passion, you find a way. And when you're in search of something, you find a way.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Guess I need to apply that. I guess I need to apply that. Interesting. Wow. Who says I can't be taught? Oh man, that's funny. Well, I just threw myself off the rails there.
That's great. Geez. I'm so happy for you to get that.
Yeah. That's man. I really, there's a beauty in that, to not know and to know that you're going regardless. and to know that it's going to happen, and that it's so exhilarating and uncertain and beautiful, and the journey is it keeps you on your toes, but in a relaxed, peaceful way, because
Yeah.
you see there's light in what's coming, and it's not just about going to enjoy something. It's about there's purpose behind it, and there's purpose for your life that will extend to others. So that's what I find really fascinating in my own journey right now, is that I don't know how it's going to unfold, but I know it's going to unfold in a way that I can't imagine. And
Mhm.
even though I've educated myself and done all the research and watched all the videos, I know I'm not even close to what's coming. And all that is preparation to make sure I'm fully aware. So it's really fascinating. I like that. That's awesome. So you have another experience that I really wanted to hear about, and this is so beautiful the way you articulated a lot of this when I heard you on another podcast, and that was about a near-death experience, and then the kind of the trauma behind that and what led you there, and how that happened, and then the result of that. Um, can you tell me about that and kind of share that experience and how that's kind of escalated your life to basically become who you are now, right?
Yeah. And I want to share something on your podcast that I haven't ever shared before, because it's completely in line with the NDE, and I just really remembered it as I
Okay.
was kind of recounting my spiritual journey. So it was almost the exact same feeling as the NDE. It was like a precursor. When I was at Esalen and I wasn't able to really feel connected to anyone because I wanted to avoid the partying, there was this point where I got so lonely and defeated that I just wanted to go home. But I was like, I think I made the wrong choice. I came to the wrong place. It's too hard to stay sober here. And I was like, I really just want to go home. And I felt really heavy, I felt really sad. And I was sitting out behind where the living quarters are, and I was kind of just reading a book in this little swing chair. And all of a sudden, this fly landed on my knee, and I looked down at the fly, and I put my finger down, and like he crawled on my finger, and I brought him up to eye level, and it was, I mean, it's going to sound silly, but it was God. It was like as soon as I met eyes with this fly, I was flooded with unconditional love, eternal peace, all the feelings that I was feeling that was the exact opposite of that sensation I got from this encounter. It was so profound, and
Hmm.
this fly ended up staying with me for like 3 days. I put him on my shirt. I had a workshop that night. I put him on my shirt, stayed on my shirt while I drove to Esalen. Anyway, I just wanted to plant that little seed, because I've noticed that whenever I am at a place where I'm like, this is the brink, and that was just an emotional brink. That wasn't
Sure.
physical death, right?
Right.
That was like an emotional death. But there's always been something there for me. And then when this happened, this NDE, I thought I was in like
Did we say
a
what
romantic.
NDE is? It's
What's that?
near death experience. I don't know if I said
Yeah,
that or not. Okay.
near death,
Because I
near
was
death.
like, what's NDE? So I had to
Oh,
look it up.
it's a near
But
death
even though
experience.
I've read it and, read the book and stuff like that, I was like, what's NDE? So
Yeah,
there's the explanation. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So the first, like, it was this. This was my first, and I mean, tui, hopefully my last, but it was a physical near death experience where my body was dying and I knew I was dying. And what led up to that was I was in this, what I thought was a romantic, loving relationship. Traveling unveils the truth of who people are sometimes. And in this relationship dynamic, this person was always feeling really down. And I was at a period in my life, this was in 2019, where my company was like blowing up in the cannabis space and in Northern California. And the website where I sold the CBD and all those goods, that was going crazy. And I had huge amounts of money. And I wanted to do something for the person I loved to help make him feel better. And so his birthday was coming up, and I said, why don't you pick anywhere on the earth you want to go, and I'll take you there, and it'll be like a 5-star trip. We'll stay in the best hotels, we'll eat the best food. Because in my head, I thought, like, surely in that scenario, someone's going to come out of depression. Like, how could that not happen? And I thought that would be a blessing to give someone that, because I thought if I was in his shoes, that's what I would want. I would want someone to come to me and like free me from my mind. So he picked Sri Lanka, which is this island in the middle of nowhere. And there is a long lineage of Buddhism there. So there's a lot of golden statues and temples to visit. It sounded like a really fun trip. We booked the trip. We end up leaving, I think it was December 21st, 2019. It's like 36 hours of travel. And when I land in Sri Lanka, I am immediately ill, and I can feel it. Like, you know, when you get the first starts of scratchy throat, and then it's like starting to get clogged here. And I was like, oh God, like this is my first like vacation in years. And I was pissed that I was getting sick. And because it was Sri Lanka, I didn't bring any medicine with me. Like, you're not allowed to have certain things in Sri Lanka, or it's a firing squad. So I thought, like, I'm just not bringing anything. I just don't want to tempt the government over there. So I had no herbal tools to heal myself. It was an hour drive to the hotel. By the time we got to the hotel, I knew I had a fever, and I knew my sickness was getting worse. But at this point, it was only like 9 a.m. So we thought, I should push myself. You don't want to pass out right away when you travel. You want to kind of stay awake and get on the time zone. So he wanted to go shopping. We take a tuk-tuk into the little village, which is like a 10-minute tuk-tuk. And he starts
shopping. That's one
shopping.
of those little 3-roll bing, 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 bing carts,
it's like
right?
It's like
little 2-stroker. Ring, ring.
Yeah, it's like a motorcycle with like a cabin on the back.
Yeah, that'd be so fun to race. Ring, ring.
Yeah, it would have been fun if I wasn't sick out of my brain. Right, it would have been a blast for sure. I actually like always wanted to ride in a tuk-tuk. I had seen them on YouTubes, and I was really excited about that experience. However, when you're sick, you want to be in a car. You want the windows closed, like you want AC going.
Air conditioner. Not the Sri Lanka smell.
Yeah. I didn't enjoy my tuk-tuk rides, unfortunately. I'm sure I will in the future one day, but we take a tuk-tuk in, and then by the time we get to the village where all the gem shops are, he wanted to shop for gems for his jewelry business. I couldn't breathe. And like, I was like, but no oxygen was getting to my systems, which meant like I couldn't walk. And I was starting to get dizzy, and I was starting to feel like I can't move. I'm getting dizzy. Like my only option is to lay down. So I said, like, I can't walk. I can't breathe. I have to go lay down. And he was like, well, I want to keep shopping. So take a tuk-tuk back to the hotel. And I'm standing there, like holding myself up with the side of the building, super struggling. And someone else saw me and was like, do you need help? Like my skin was like color of ash at that point. And I was like, I need a ride to my hotel. And I gave him the hotel name, and he like helped me, like put my arm around him, and he helped me get in the tuk-tuk. And I get back to the hotel, and I just pass out. And then he comes, and he's like shaking me awake. And I'm normally someone that has to sleep with earplugs, like extremely light sheets. So the fact that he was shaking me to wake up, and I woke up just totally out of my mind. Like I didn't know where I was. I knew who he was, but I didn't know how I had gotten where I was. So there was this huge, it felt like the fever was kind of frying my brain, and I didn't have my perceptual awareness. And then when I would try and do anything, like you have to breathe to do anything. When I would try and just like move the covers or try and sit up, like everything was labored. And then at this point, after waking up, the pain had gotten to a level, and I'm guessing it's from the fever, that I like couldn't stand it. And And so it was like, it's hospital time, right? So we called the hotel manager. We got to talk to the local hospital. Sri Lanka is actually famous for their Ayurvedic treatments, which I am super.
What's that?
Do you know Ayurvedic? So like if you're in
No.
China, you're doing Chinese herbal medicine, right? Or Chinese medicine. If you're in India, you're doing Ayurvedic medicine. Like every country kind of
Oh,
has their
so it's their
own.
natural medicinal.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So is Sri Lanka more third world? Is it how
Yeah,
is it? So your medicines are probably primitive on a uh, medical level, and then you have
yeah,
the medicinals that they really rely on.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And there is a city in Sri Lanka called Kandy, but we were in the rural parts of Sri Lanka to start. And the rural part, like the hospital, when we got there, it was like dirt floor, goats were present, like
Oh,
walls were like plastic, like
oh my.
the kind of plastic that we put on the ground to like
Yeah.
paint. Like,
For
you know what I mean? Like,
Dexter plastic.
yeah. And there is no language, there was no interpretation opportunities, so it was like I was like
Oh,
acting
yeah.
out, like what was going on. And then I got a paper that had 7 medications on it. We went to the pharmacy. I filled all of them with the intention of Googling them when I got back to Wi-Fi in the hotel. So we get back to the hotel, and I'm going through, and I'm like, this is all dog medication, except for one was a human antibiotic. And I was like, I'll take that one. So out of the 7 meds that I got, I took that one, except for I realized really quickly, like I wasn't even able to take anything. Like I couldn't eat. The
Oh,
thought of
yeah.
food made me, it was revolting.
Yeah.
Like the thought of even consuming water was revolting. My systems felt like they were crashing.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't an opportunity anymore to revitalize the physical systems, that they were like, we're just done. And I remember laying back down and just kind of sitting there like contemplating, like, what am I going to do? Like I really don't want to die in Sri Lanka.
Right.
Like it's just the most awful feeling ever. And the pain was still really bad. And I think at that point, it was probably only like 3 or 4 in the afternoon on our first day. So this is like my first day in Sri Lanka. And the guy that I was with was like, I want to go shopping again. And I was like, can you please get me like ibuprofen or Advil? Like, can you please get me something to cut this pain into? Because the pain, just something that I can just like stick down my throat and get the body to have a sense of peace. He's like, yeah, I'll get you that. So I pass out again. And then when he comes back this time, I actually wake up when the door opens and I'm excited for the ibuprofen. I'm like, okay, there's going to be a sense of relief soon. And I'm like that. And he's like, oh, I forgot. And as soon as he said that he forgot, I realized that, how like it's just one little thing that happens, but all of a sudden you have awareness of the 20 other things that happened before that you completely overlooked.
Emotional Jenga.
Yeah.
That everything
Like, or
collapses.
like one domino fell and I was like, oh. Yeah. And that one moment, I knew he didn't really care about me, that he wanted the trip. He wanted someone to pay for him to shop for gems to boost his business. He was living with me because he was paying like a quarter of the mortgage. Like I wasn't making him pay half. Like I was realizing that the relationship and the love and the support that I was pretending was there actually wasn't there.
Right.
And that emotional heartbreak combined with the physical pain, because like if you think of when you're in a lot of physical pain and you're really suffering, if you're surrounded by people that love you and are caring for you, it's easier. The pain is less. If you're suffering and you feel like you're dying and the only people that are around you are people that don't give a shit, the pain's worse. Yeah. So that's kind of how it felt for me, was like as soon as I had that emotional awareness of who this person really was, and then also the ego shattering, because I had spent like $10K on that trip. And I was like, I also feel like an idiot that I spent that much money on someone that actually doesn't even like have respect for me.
Can't even get your ibuprofen.
yeah, like the level of
Yeah.
disregard was so profound.
Yeah.
My ego shattered, and I don't know if everyone knows that pain. I think a lot of people know that pain, but it's an intense pain. It's a very incredible pain. So that all combined with what was going on in my physical body, it was like all of a sudden I laid back down and I just knew, like all of a sudden I went from hoping I wasn't going to die to knowing this was it. And that's what was going through my head. Was I was like, okay, this is how it's going to be, because I can't take the pain for another second. I
Hmm.
literally cannot handle what's going on. And I closed my eyes and I said, God, if this is what you want, if this is what you have for me, if this is how you want my young life to end, take me, have me. Part of me was saying it a little angry, and the other part of me was like, I'm just done. Like, have all of
Yeah.
it. Have my whole body, have my whole mind, have all my emotions, have whatever you want. I don't want this anymore. It's all yours now. It's all yours again now. And as soon as I said that, because I was in complete alignment with the surrender, all of a sudden, like I was alone with God. It was me in this void, and it was the presence of God. And every time I try and describe it to someone, there are never going to be words that match what I felt.
Thank God.
I mean, it was just like, and it was very black and white, right? Because it was, to me, like probably the deepest sensations of pain and suffering that were immediately followed with the most profound sensations of eternal love and peace and understanding. And I remember, like, God was just this all encompassing light that was just conveying to me, like, I got you. You finally let me have you. Like, I've wanted you for so long, and you finally let me have you. Like, it was like, I know we say he, but it's obviously not a gendered energy, but he
Right.
was like waiting for me. He was like, you're the one. What I was realizing in that space was like, I was the one that prolonged my suffering by not giving it to God initially. I was the one that was depending on these human creatures to serve me, when God was just sitting there like, I'm here, like, hello. You're not even looking at me, like you're getting in another tuk-tuk. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm still here. And that's what I realized after the experience, was like, God was always there. I was the one
Mm.
making this free will decision to block him out, and then
Yeah.
to handle it myself, and then to blame people around me as to why it was getting worse.
Yeah.
Like, that was all my ego. And after it got completely shattered, I was like, fuck it. Like, take all of it. I don't care. I literally am at the place where I'm like, I don't care. And that's the place where the beauty happened. And I think a lot of people experience that, not in a dying experience, but like when you really, really want something and you've wanted it forever and you're just never getting it. And you're finally like, I don't even fucking want it anymore. Like, ugh. And then you walk away, and then the next day someone just hands it to you on a silver platter, and you're like, oh, it was like the surrendering energy
Yeah.
that got me what I wanted.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was like when I finally let go. So I'm like in this experience with God. And then when it got to this place of felt saturation, of like the experience had embodied me and I had embodied the experience, all of a sudden I was like back in my body, and it was graceful. It wasn't like, boom, you're in pain again. It was this graceful descent of, I knew I was going back into my body. I felt my soul kind of constrict a bit, because before it was this all-encompassing presence. And I was back in my body. And then at that point, my physical experience in my body was, the pain was in half. It was like my fever had broke.
Hmm.
And the breathing issue continued for actually the next 2 months, but the fever was what was the most painful anyway.
So
So
that breathing lasting for 2 months, experiencing God, and then come back to earth per se, experience this, and you still have this breathing problem for a couple months. How did that slow you down to And I'm going to be bold here and say, slow you down enough to engage you in that experience to fully engulf it.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was for. It was like, for sure. The ego shattering. Like, I think this is why it took me 6 years to actually digest that I had a profound NDE,
Mm,
was because the ego pain and shattering was so multi-layered.
yeah.
And I think just my relationship history, like, I had been in physically abusive relationships, and I found those easier and less painful than what I had experienced with this person, because this person pretended to be someone else and kind of fooled me in a way
Mm-hmm.
by acting how I wanted him to act to get things from me that he wanted. And it was all confirmed because when we got home and I was like, it's over, like, you have to move out, he was like, yeah, cool. Like, there was nothing. It was like, okay, the grift's over, I'll get my things. And it was just the ego
Mm,
blow. The ego blow was so profound. So the breathing issue was like in alignment with my ego shattering.
yeah.
And I was probably in bed, just no energy, recuperating from the whole experience for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's about how long it took to emotionally heal. And then I think once the emotional aspect started to lighten up, that's when the physical body started to be able to breathe and function again. So yeah, I mean, it was like this. The
Wow.
breathing was there. The issue, I think, what you said, it was keeping me in the experience to fully integrate and heal and
Yeah.
not allow me just to get home and start hustling for money again. It
Yeah.
just kept me in the processing of what happened.
See, and that's kind of why I said that. I've had these profound experiences and epiphanies, but they come with not immediate change. The ripple effect of uh, those experiences are actually more profound when I sit with them over time. And that immediate, like, high or whatever, or that rush of that happening, it's so much better over time. And you get to chew on it more and more instead of it happening. We want this magic to happen and to take it all away. But if we learn to sit with the hard parts of the things that we're involved in, or that maybe we've put ourselves in, or that we're inadvertently involved in, if we sit with those things long enough, they teach us something very, very valuable. And I think what's happening for me is learning to respect myself is automatically putting up boundaries that allow that. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? So
Yeah.
it's not about, I'm not putting boundaries up for myself anymore to protect myself. It's about respecting myself. And
Yeah.
so I have the ability to decide what that narrative is,
Yeah.
and not keep people at hard distances. How has you had said something gosh, what was it? You said a few things, several things, lots of stuff. I need to be better at taking I need something attached to my brain to say, like, remember that and ask that question. I need memory food. Um, that's what I need to be able to help me remember what to ask. But gosh, you said something earlier. I had so many points. I was like, oh, that's a good point. Oh, yeah. You remember you said something about the horse. I thought this was funny. I almost interrupted you. You had said something about imagining horses going through the ditches and, you know, galloping and stuff like that. I do that with motorcycles still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dirt bikes, and I'm like, rap, 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 rap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when I'm driving. so,
Yeah.
so
No,
it's
I
not
mean,
weird.
it's not weird to me. I don't think it's weird to anyone else either. I think we all do that. I think we
Yeah.
just don't want to admit it. Like, when I go out to feed the horses, I'll like gallop, and like if there's a line in the dirt, I'm like, that's my jump, and I jump the jump, and I'm like going out, and I'm in this totally make believe situation all the time, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, and that's what happens when you spend a lot of time alone. I mean, it's honestly, you become your best entertainer.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, dang it, I had it, and now it's gone again. Dang it, it was a good one too. It's a good question. I should. Dang it. So,
I want to. I'll share something. Maybe this will wake it up in you.
absolutely.
I want to share this because after I shared my last NDE on the channel, like on an NDE YouTube channel, I was reading the comments, and a lot of the comments were like wanting to say negative things about that person I went with, right? And I just wanted to say that, like, for anyone who's going to listen to this podcast, if those emotions happen to come up for you, though, at least this is what I've learned, is that like those people are some of our greatest blessings because they give us this opportunity to actually learn how to love unconditionally through some of the darkest stuff.
Yeah.
And when you can master loving unconditionally through the darkness, that's when like the body and the soul and the heart all merges back and you get these experiences of divinity and heaven on earth. So that person gave me multiple opportunities throughout 6 years to see how powerful my soul can love. And without that, I wouldn't have known how deeply I can love through the darkness. So I just want to say, like, that's why we're here on earth. People like that are dropped like little sprinkles into our life on purpose. And when I saw him, I knew there was a karmic unfolding between us. So I just want to share that as a blanket awareness for the people watching this channel, that these opportunities are what shows you the God inside of yourself, which is what I experienced.
So there's a bit, I'll feed off of that because there's something beautiful you said to me in one of our conversations before, and that's we all have a drop of God in us, and I found that so beautiful because it shows what it did in that moment. It gave me an image of the painter and the canvas, and we're all part of that, and we're all part of that one painting, and it's this conglomerative, and even in science they prove it. We're all atoms.
Yeah.
We're all the same stardust and atoms. I mean, it's and we're all the same thing, and that's so beautiful to me. I think of it, and I try to give you credit for that everywhere I go. I love that image of it, that we have so much in us just in that drop of God. And it gives us, in that image, it gives us the individuality to be human, and which is even more beautiful to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get to be both. I get to be part of both. And oh my gosh, Britton, watch your mouth. Like the things that are coming out of my mouth sometimes about this positive nature in this life. And I catch myself saying things that you couldn't have paid me to say because I didn't believe they were true. Now they're fully true. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, that's really interesting. Oh, that's what it was. That it was about surrender. It was about the surrender. Gosh, dang it, man. My train is just, I got bullet trains from Spain going through here. I mean, they're just like 200 miles an hour. That's an idea. That's a question. Thanks. You'll slow down to let me read the billboard, the cue card. So, oh man, I don't know, Scarlet. I catch it and then I lose it, and I don't know where I'm going with it. So I apologize.
Well, you're right, though. You're totally right. I mean, this surrender is the jam. Like when I'm teaching, I have an online school and I'm building a new online course, and it really is all like everything. The merging of your humanness with your own divinity, it's all in surrender. Every spiritual tool that works is based out of surrender. And it's surrendering to that drop of God inside of yourself. It's surrendering to things of the most high frequency. And I use it constantly. That surrendering now, like it removes any pain and suffering that I have in the present moment. Like as an adult, we have to deal with things. So certain things stress me out. Like right now I have double mortgage payments because one of my houses isn't sold. And I have taxes to pay and like filings to do, and all of that stuff makes me feel like stressed out, and I don't like it. I don't like that aspect of being an adult. I'll be totally honest. I don't want to have to pay bills. I don't want to have to answer to the government with taxes. There's a lot of things I just don't agree with morally with a lot of the things that I have to deal with as an adult. And so when this stress comes up, what I do is I close my eyes and I'm like, Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Take this stress. I give you this stress completely. I surrender this stress to you completely. And I will go from feeling like I'm completely embodied in the stress and nervousness of dealing with something like the IRS to feeling eternal peace seconds after I say those words. Take it from me. Have mercy on me. I don't want this. God, you carry it. You said you wanted to carry all my shit. Here's some more shit. And then God's like, hallelujah, thank you so much. I'm here to help. And God
Put it in the
takes
Santa
it.
Claus bag.
Yeah, it's like literally that's what I'm here for. The issue isn't that we don't have that. The issue is that people forget to use it.
Yeah.
People forget.
So that is one of the things I wanted to say. And actually I wanted to give you credit for this, because a while back I was struggling with my rage and my anger. And I'm like, why is this the answer? So instead of it, like, I finally did the counterintuitive. I started getting on my knees and bowing to it. As soon as I started getting frustrated, I bow to it. And then in your interview, you were like, I just surrender. And it dawned on me, and I don't remember how you worded it, but it was like, I surrender before it happens. So I'm surrendering. I was like, well, I'm surrendering when it presents itself. And now I'm surrendering before it even gets on the table.
Exactly.
And that is a whole different story in my day, in my spirit. I'm walking through the woods 2 days in a row. I'm walking out in the woods, hiking and training, and my spirit just went into this super restful peace that it's never been in. And I believe it's because I put into practice the things that you were saying, and that's surrendering at that, I don't know, again, I don't remember how you put it, but I started surrendering before anything. Like even this morning, I'm like, I haven't done it yet. I will. It's on my mind. It's going to be there. That's the first thing. So, and even being aware of that and giving myself grace, because this is going to happen this afternoon, is where I'm going to go spend the time in meditation and prayer and do that in the woods. And I give myself grace in it not happening right now. If I need it to happen right now, I can choose for that to happen right now. But I'm planning for this to be, and I'm planning for it because I want it to be part of my life. I love that it's part of my life because I love feeling at peace. I love being at rest, and I love being on a walk that helps me in my struggles to say, it's going to be okay. And I have the ability to navigate this really difficult problem right now. And I don't have to worry about it because the outcome is not up to me. It's just me showing up. And that's, and that's where it's been so restful and peaceful, more days than it has been, for a while. So, I appreciate those little nuggets of information and truth and practice, because they're so valuable in not only my life, but others. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah. It is really profound. Every day I start the day with surrendering to God's will.
Yeah. That's what you said.
That's how I start my day.
That's what you said.
Yeah. Live through me, speak through me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Jesus Christ, get on board too. Like if there's extra help, I want it. Holy Spirit, giddy up. Like all of you guys heard me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the word. And I started doing the same thing. I'm like, you said this, and I keep knocking, and within, it's not very long, and my spirit's calm and it's at rest again. And it's able to say, okay, you're reacting and holding on to the old narrative in certain ways, or there's shame behind it, or there's frustration, or there's tiredness behind it. And I'm tired of being tired. And the Lord's like, it's all right. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep showing up. It's not a one and done. It's a daily practice.
Yeah.
And when you practice daily, your peace and your spirit, I challenge people, I'm challenging people that I work with now. I'm like, get on your knees 30 days in a row and see what happens. Do an
Yeah.
honest prayer, do an honest surrender. See how your life changes. See how the trajectory of your thought process changes. See how your language towards yourself changes. It's phenomenal. See how
Yeah.
your language and respect changes for yourself and others. And
Yeah.
it's not a formula. I guarantee you knock on that door and say, I'll give you 30 days. God doesn't need 30 days. That's just a
No.
practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a practice to show you that you can do something regularly and that it has profound effect in your life and that you'll want
Mhm.
to keep coming back for more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like what you're speaking to is the start of healing of the separation that occurred between man and God.
Yeah.
It's our tool that we can use every day to correct that separation. And the only reason why we have disturbing thoughts or disturbing emotions is because part of us is still in that separate state from God.
Yeah.
So once we merge fully with our body and our inner divinity, we're going to be living from the eyes of God. It'll be no more correcting, but it is surrendering to that every day until that occurs. And who knows when it's going to occur for
Right.
who. Everyone's going to have
Yep.
a different, launch date, but
Yep.
we all will get there.
Yep.
If we choose that as our path, we will all get there for sure,
Yep.
because it's proven in the moment what it does, like what you said.
Yep. And that's, it's not a quick fix. It's not a sure fix. It's an opportunity to accept an invitation from your creator, that is whispering in the back of your head, that is never beating you up, but always trying to lead you towards. And,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the beautiful thing. And I remember the other thing I was going to say, and this was, what kind of happened to me. You had said that, and I can't remember how you worded this, I apologize, but when you fully accepted, the drugs went away. When you fully surrendered, the drugs, that craving for the drugs that just kind of dissipated. Um, I had that happen, like not in that degree, but I think I told you that I drink at home and every day, and I don't get super drunk, but I figured it out. I'm probably, let's just say I drink 3 drinks a day. That's 90 drinks a month. So I I was like, I was struggling with myself, and I was like, I don't want to do that because it's, number one, it's hard on my body. It does me no good. It's like not really serving me any purpose other than shutting up monkeys that aren't really as present as they used to be because of the path I'm on. So it basically broke it down to, well, don't deprive yourself fully, Britton, because you're not losing anything over alcohol. But you drink too much. So I was like, okay, well, if I go out or go to dinner with somebody, I'll have a drink. So that's what I've been doing. And what I realized is I've cut my 90 drinks down to, say, 8 drinks a month. And I was like, oh,
That's major.
but the result was, it wasn't that there are times I want to have a drink or I'm thinking about it, but most of the time I don't miss it. 99% of the time I don't miss it. And I think it's because the monkeys aren't jumping as bad. Like they're just not, I'm not trying to shut something up anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I related to what you had said about that experience and how that kind of went away. Cause that's when I surrendered and just made the decision. And then I realized that I felt better every day. I didn't realize how bad I felt. I
Yeah.
feel better every day. I'm
Yeah.
not nauseous. My gut's not a little goofy. I don't feel like groggy. I'm not low motivation. Like I'm all the way up. I'm like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
this, that's something just to strive for and seek for. And so I had that kind of, I never thought I would get away from that. I mean, I checked myself into treatment when I was 18, and I stayed clean mostly from even taking Advil for 17 years. But what I realized was I was the problem, not liquor, not alcohol, not drugs. I was the problem. And started drinking, and then it just turned into, the daily adult drinking that a lot of people do. And, just I had a hard day at work and I drink it up. And now I don't find that I don't find my hard day at work that hard. I
Yeah.
don't find my even this, like, I know when I need a moment and a break, and I know how to regulate myself now. So now I can do it in a way that feeds my body, whether that be exercise, hiking, walking, going for a drive, motorcycle, whatever, messing around with the cats, whatever, feeding
Yeah.
the plants. There's so many ways that I find uh, things to do that are not that anymore, that it doesn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
So is that how that kind of happened for you? Is it just kind of, tell me a little bit more about that now that I've
Yeah.
formulated?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's definitely similar. I did, I mean, I think mine was also a combination of like, I also just didn't feel safe in my body.
Hmm.
Like, part of me didn't want to be human. Part of me wanted to remain imagination only. Like, I felt like the imagination world was so safe. And then,
Gotcha.
like, my body just wasn't, because every time I had experienced pain, it was like through, like being hit, or like experiencing things in the body where it's like, if I didn't have this, that wouldn't have occurred, so I think it was that, combined with, it was like lack of safety of wanting to be in the body. I think that was probably my primary driver of wanting to numb out. And I think when you tell your story, in my case, it was telling my story of what had happened to me that released me from wanting to numb out. And I think in your case, it was like coming to a profound realization that, like, you don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then, like, that released you. So I think it is really similar. It's all in the awareness of,
Sure.
and a perspective shifting, and a lens is shifting inside of our being somehow. My healing had to be witnessed for me. Like, I had to have the experience of showing someone who I was completely naked, emotionally naked, mentally naked, what had happened to me. And then I had to see that I was still loved after that.
Hmm.
I think I had to have that experience of that. And then as soon as I had that experience, I got to see myself through someone else's eyes. And I was like, I don't want to abuse Scarlet. I don't
Hmm.
want to ruin her body. I want her to be here for hundreds of years. Look at how great she is. Like, she's amazing. And
What a
if I
great way
do
to put
this
it.
stuff, I'm going to cut her time short, you know?
What a great way to put it. What a great way to put it. Wow.
Because it goes from like, oh no, I don't want to experience life, to like, yeah, life, yeah, life.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's be as healthy as possible. Let's never put impurities into our human altar. Like, this
Right.
is just the vehicle for the soul. So when I
Yeah.
started looking at my body as my soul's vehicle, I was like, well, I don't want it to, like, the paint to wear down. I don't want it to get rusted. I don't want to not change the tires and the oil. Like, I want this puppy to run for like 200 years, which is completely possible. We know it's completely possible. There's a Hunza tribe that I watched a documentary on, where their average age of life right now here on this earth, right next to the Hunza River, is 160 years old. The women are having children at 70, and that's totally normal. And the only difference between that tribe and everywhere else on the earth is that they grow their own food and they eat with the rhythms of the seasons, and they're not poisoned by mass production and corporations.
Yeah. Well, and they have
So,
community and low stress.
low
It's
stress.
yeah. It's
I
that
think
gather
when you're,
hunter type
yeah,
mentality, and
exactly,
everybody works for the good betterment of the
exactly.
community. So it's a whole different mentality, and that's what we've really gotten away from in our culture, even on a small scale. And we could do this. We could help each other garden. We could help each other in small communities to be better. But I went to an HOA meeting the other night, and all they did was fight and argue with each other about stupid stuff. I'm like, you guys are just privileged people. That's it. And you have this little piece of land that you're angry about instead of helping each other with. It's such a separation of community based on what people think they own in this country. And it's all for rent anyway. The bank owns it unless you're rich. I mean, it's all rented land. until you have a deed. My car is rented until I have the title. And even then I'm renting it from the insurance company. I mean, I love that. I think that's really cool that's even possible. And it shows there's evidence even today that if we come alongside in love and kindness and community, that people have a better chance of living well.
Yeah. And it's love. Like there's opportunities in those HOAs to be the presence of love, to not to go in there as the great observer, to go inside of your system, to like flick the switch on of I'm just going to love all these people. And you can change the frequencies of that room. All it takes is one person to get out of the collective mind and say, we're bigger than this. I love you. And that's disarming. You know, because the soul will resonate and the soul will say, oh shit, he's right. And then you might see the person's ego and soul fight for who gets the mic, right? But I've noticed that, I mean, after studying the Hunza people, and I had my own, like I saw a doctor for the first time in 15 years and I had routine blood work done and they showed me the results and I was like, like on paper, there's a lot of things I have to correct. And so I went through this entire physical healing journey, which I'm still on. And I have eliminated basically like focusing on the Hunza people lifestyle. Like I'm mirroring them. We can mirror one another. Yeah. So like the Hunza people aren't different than you and I. We don't need some profound big movement to emulate them or to learn from them or to then embody what they're already doing in our own life. And that blood work panel was like the biggest gift I could have been given because I had gotten into a cycle of not caring for my body again.
Right. Yeah.
And I was before I was living here in Colorado, I was living in a place in northern New Mexico in the middle of nowhere. And in that phase, in that 3 years of my life, I was healing the trauma of the PTSD from escaping the fires, the California wildfires. So when I landed in that house, like I had never really had PTSD before, but I was in survival mode for almost 2 years straight of really just not functioning well and feeling fear and being afraid of fires over and over and over again that weren't real. And it took a couple of years of recalibrating. And in that period of time, I was surviving. I wasn't taking care of myself. So that had a profound impact on my body, which is now showing up now that I'm in a really safe place in Colorado and I have my family around me and I have my friends around me and I have services and I have medical care and I have insurance for the first time. I'm able to heal myself and I'm like, for the first time in my life, I see my body as this sacred vehicle and I treasure it. I've never treasured my body like this. Yeah. Like when I saw the blood work, I was like, oh shit, I could be off planet soon. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Wake up, Scarlet. And I was like, oh, thank God I got this opportunity to correct course. But I realized I wasn't intentionally trashing myself. I gave myself the grace and I was like, that was me doing the best I could. Like I really, I couldn't cook for myself. When you're in a state of panic, like you don't do normal things. When you're in a state of PTSD, you don't do normal. I didn't do normal things. I didn't treat myself normally. Everything was about how can I survive this day? So I'm in this profound opportunity of, for the first time, feeling like I'm in a sacred soul vehicle and I want it to be as shiny and youthful and long lasting as possible, which means detoxing for 1 to 2 years. Like, I don't think people understand that when you detox, if you really want to detox, it takes a year. You have to sweat every day for 40 minutes a day for a year to bring your toxin levels down. Like that's how toxins leave the body. Oof. So it's a lifestyle change. I went through all of my clothing and I got rid of every synthetic material. Like, synthetic materials are endocrine disruptors. They cause cancer and they cause your endocrine system. Literally, if you're wearing, women, Lululemon is being sued because of this.
Oh my gosh.
Those yoga pants are made of synthetic fabrics. And then when you work out in them, a lot of women don't wear underwear with yoga pants, right? Because they're just too hugging. but you're sweating in the most potentially sensitive areas of your body. The chemicals from this clothing is literally getting sucked into your bloodstream. Women are getting ovarian cancer by tenfold because of Lululemon workout gear.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of the people that I serve are on thyroid medication because their endocrine system has been completely disrupted through chemical toxins and endocrine disruptors. It's in our laundry detergent. It's in our dish soap. It's in our body soap. And I thought I was operating on this totally organic pathway, but there's like apps you can get where you can scan the product you're using to see if there's cancer-causing carcinogens or endocrine disruptors in it. My organic Andalou body lotion that says all organic, it's cancer-causing. I was covering myself. I was covering my skin every day for like 5 years in this lotion, and it causes cancer.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to come to Jesus of like, it's not about fashion anymore or how I look. It's about, is my body being served with the highest vibrational frequency clothing, right? Because you start looking at your clothing and you're like, those yoga pants are so cute and they make me look so good. But if they cause my hormonal structure to fail, why am I wearing them?
Right. Yeah.
So I started making all those decisions. And then I started doing 1 meal a day, which gives your body this opportunity to go into autophagy. Have you heard of autophagy? So our bodies, and this is why the Hunza people live, by the way, for like 160 years. They've mastered autophagy. So our body, if you don't eat for 16 hours, what happens is your body starts eating diseased cells. Your body will start eating and getting rid of toxins and flushing them out of your system, just like it was always meant to do. We actually don't need doctors. We need to eat way less. So if you are doing 1 meal a day, I'm totally serious.
No,
because
it's perfect because that's all I get to do is eat 1 to 2 meals a day. I'm like, I'm on track.
No, you are on track. I think a lot of people intuitively do it.
It pays to be poor.
What?
It pays to be poor.
That's another thing. My grocery bill went from like $1,500 to $300. I mean, like, it's profound differences. So I studied autophagy fasting. For women, it's different. We have cycles that we have to pay attention to. You can't really do 1 meal a day like when you're PMSing because your body needs tons of calories to go through that cycle. So you do have to educate yourself. But doing 1 meal a day allows my body to eat whatever is not serving me and flush it out, sweating, and then only eating organic. Like, I really only eat 4 or 5 different things. So I'm eating the same thing all the time. It's very simple. It's either blueberries, cherries. I eat lemon juice, cinnamon, almonds, and then sometimes I supplement with eggs and lentils, and that's it.
For all your food.
That's all my food. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's intentional. It's an intentional healing period that I'm on right now, right?
Okay.
It's not that this is what it's always going to be.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, that's not very much food.
No, but I have to give my body this loving opportunity to heal itself. So
like antioxidants as well. Really putting those in there.
Yeah. So like there's specific reasons why, like, blueberries encourage autophagy. Like, I'm eating foods that encourage the overall intention. And the only reason why I'll eat eggs or lentils is if I start feeling really weak, because I do run a horse ranch. Right. So if I need more, like if I have a day where I'm hauling like 50 hay bales and unloading them, like, I'm going to be eating eggs and lentils that day. Yeah. But if I'm just walking the cats or doing whatever, it'll just be a smoothie of like blueberries, cinnamon, lemon juice, cherries, and then almonds.
And how long do you do that kind of a detox?
I think it's going to take 1 to 2 years.
Oh,
So
really?
it'll be that lifestyle for 1 to 2 years until I go back and I get the blood tested and all the levels are normal. Because Western
Gotcha.
medicine doesn't understand healing. Western
Right.
medicine, what they said to me, they're like, we're going to cut out your thyroid, we're going to cut out your gallbladder, and then we're going to put you on medication for life. And I was like, no, you're not. Like,
Yeah.
I can heal myself. The body can heal itself. And I told the doctor, I was like, why aren't you offering me a treatment of autophagy? And he was like, what is autophagy? And I was like, homie, you know I'm not coming back if you don't know what that word means. Like, I can't come back morally. Like, you're just not good enough for me to come back if you don't know what that means.
Right.
Like, you have to be more educated than me to serve me.
I'm gonna have to look that
So,
up. I'm gonna do some research on that.
yeah, I think you'll
Because
really like it.
what's that?
You can cure anything with it. You can cure thyroid dysfunction, you can cure diabetes, you can cure any heart disease. You can literally cure anything with it. And there's a slew of doctors online that are so passionate about it because they're so enchanted with the Western medical system.
Mm-hmm.
They're not okay medicating people. They're not okay cutting organs out. But so that a lot of doctors are now promoting this and saying, eat one meal a day, do a 72-hour water fast, like let your body heal itself, and then clean your environment of toxins.
Yeah, I've starting to lean towards doing a water fast, but
Yeah.
I'm type 1 diabetic, so fasting has always been very iffy, questionable whether I would make it a full, say, 24 hours. So, I mean, as of right now, I can't even make it 6 hours without my sugars plummeting. So there's got to be, I do, I don't really tell people this, but I do fast. Short, what are they? Short fastas, fastas, short fastas.
Fastuses? Yeah.
Yeah, like morning fasts,
Hmm.
fastuses,
Hmm.
those kinds. I do a lot of those, lots and lots,
Yeah.
especially if, especially before, like, until I get all my stuff started for the day, prayer, reading, all that stuff is generally that, and then I'll try to extend that as long as possible before my
Totally.
sugars drop. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm looking for. I'm going to try some experimental fasting here soon and see how that goes. But um, because I do believe my body can heal itself, I do believe that my diabetes can be reversed,
Yeah.
and I do believe I have the opportunity and power to do that. I just lack some of the knowledge and practice that it's going to take to do that. So,
Yeah. I did too. I can send you, because you could go on YouTube and use it as a search engine and say like fasting to cure, or you could say autophagy to cure type 1 diabetes.
oh,
And
okay.
then you'll get doctors coming up because I educated myself through YouTube doctors.
Oh, okay.
So they're medical doctors
Yep.
that will walk you through every scenario: how to do autophagy if you have diabetes, how to do autophagy if you're like postmenopausal for women. Like because they are all totally different,
Yeah.
and you do have to be
Yep.
educated. Like, as your friend, I would say, please educate yourself before you push yourself in
Yeah.
fasting. Like, please,
Yeah.
because it's just not worth it. You could damage
I could do more damage. Yeah.
if you're not educated. And I knew that because I tried to do a 72-hour fast and I knew what happened to me, and I had always kind of feared fasting after that. And then I found this woman, I think her name's Mindy Pelz, I don't know, she's on YouTube, she's a doctor, and I started watching her videos and I was like, oh, that's why my fasting was failing. I wasn't being aware of my menstrual cycle, I wasn't doing it when it was safe to do it.
Right.
And then I wasn't aware of the signs of when you have to stop fasting right away. Like, she'll give you a list of symptoms of like, if you start feeling this or this or this, eat something. It's not about your 72-hour goal, it's about your health.
Yeah.
So she'll tell you when you're in a danger zone. And then once I became aware of all that, I was like, oh, now I can do this. Like, I can
Yeah.
do this as a lifestyle now. But before, if you don't have that education, like, you could totally fuck yourself up.
And go see Jesus before your time has come.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Jesus.
fasting. You fasted too long.
Yeah.
But you did
Yeah.
40 days. You're not me. You're
Yeah.
not
He's like, I
God.
did 40 days in my consciousness, not in my body, fool.
Right? Wow. So, well, last but not least, Scarlet, tell me about what you do now for your business. Tell me a little bit about that and the viewers, because I use your products. You were kind enough to send me some of those things because of muscle pain and things like that. And then I've had the privilege of using those regularly and loving them. Love your products. Love what they have. I mean, they help me so much on so many occasions, especially like the muscle creams and neck pain, joint pain, all of it. I wish I could just keep it with me and take it on my journey. But I
Thank
can't.
you.
It's too heavy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely multidimensional in what I offer. One of the arms of what I offer is organic herbal remedies, and they're all effect based. So like CBD salves, but there's like 12 different herbs with the
Yeah.
CBD. That's the one you really liked. I brought some to show,
Mm.
but they're just very potent and very, very much very organic. So the effectiveness is there. And then they all have different spiritual intentions. Like, I don't think that someone can really heal the body by just focusing on the body. You have to correct things at an emotional level and a mental level as well. It may be a shift in perspective, or it may be an emotional healing that has to occur before the body releases something. So I like to offer my medicinal products to serve the body. And then I also offer, like, I've written books. One of them is an international bestseller. That book is called Follow the Medicine, Awakening Self-Empowerment. And it teaches you how to train your mind, what your mind can do, how to control thoughts,
Mm.
which then have a ricocheting effect on what you feel in certain circumstances, how to like change your perspective so that the world is for you and not against you.
Hmm.
These are like crucial mind training foundational pieces of the spiritual journey. And without them, your emotions could be all over the map.
Yeah.
So I offer things to different levels of different spiritual divinity seekers. I have like an online school where you could just go through an 8-week course that's going to totally transform you. It's based on, if like the Course in Miracles was based around loving God through the nature kingdom, that's kind of what my course looks like. And then I do one-on-one sessions if someone wants, like multidimensional insight or healing that's very practical. So if someone signs up for a session with me, we'll have a session, we'll go over their goals. And then there's going to be a 30-day program after that they really should follow, or it was a waste of money of seeing me. Like, I will give you a practical step by step of like, now go do the work, like go
Right.
change yourself. It's not about just coming to me and being like, oh, I got healed by someone else, now I'm good. Like, no, you have to do it yourself. I will be the inspiration and I will show you your massive potential. And then I'll hold your hand while you do the work for yourself, and I'll keep cheering you on. And then, I'll do this when you miss a day or something. But I think it's important for people to have the accomplishments themselves.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's yeah, and learning to hold yourself accountable is very, very valuable. And
Yeah.
I found that it creates time management automatically almost. At least it did
Yeah.
for me. When I started holding myself accountable to these few practices that I do that don't take much time every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I learned to manage my time well, learned my minds well. My whatever's in front of me is going to happen when it's supposed to happen. And I
Yeah.
love that, but I'm also pliable in that and give myself grace. So it's multifaceted when you get to experience that and hold
Yeah.
yourself accountable in those ways. And then to have somebody come alongside and say, yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good. That's so valuable. Cause a lot of times when we don't have people in our lives that are lives, man, I got the S's today. It's for my multiple personalities. So, but yeah, when we don't have people alongside of us and we're doing hard work a lot and don't have that affirmation or that encouragement, it's very difficult to continue that work in a positive attitude and demeanor. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you're doing that and um, providing those courses and classes. That's very valuable. So,
Yeah.
what else? What else was there? Man, I feel terrible at this today.
Oh, and if someone wants a free offering, I do offer the daily medicine prayer. So every day on my YouTube channel, I do a morning prayer and I post a video every single morning just to give people the knowing that it is possible. Do it every single day. Even if you don't want to do it yourself, just watch my video for that day and we'll surrender to God. We'll get into alignment. We'll activate Christ consciousness. So it's always the morning prayer of that God alignment. And then I go into whatever awareness expansion topic that I'm focused on that day.
Nice.
So I'll share like a piece of wisdom that I'm just now learning, and then I'll share the prayer. But that's available to everybody for free every single day.
And how do they find you on that?
That YouTube is called Starwalker Ranch.
Okay.
So I'll put it there.
And then how do they find you on your medicinal stuff?
White Fox Medicinals with an S at the end. That's the website to shop for the products I make. And then Scarlet Ravin, my name.com. Ravin spelled with an I, and Scarlet has one T. That's how you find like my sessions and my online schools and stuff.
Okay. And I'll put all that in the description as well. Is there any other way, anything else that you do, multifaceted, that you want to share? Anywhere else that they can reach you and the things that you do?
I do. I mean, if someone is interested in something like a microdose form of something and they want to discuss further how to help heal the brain, we can discuss stuff like that privately. Okay. So that's also available. I also train horses and raise chickens. So I have insight on how to feed chickens and horses and run a ranch, very practical ranching girl. So I have that as well. If anyone needs any, if you want to live alone in the middle of nowhere and you want to have your own homestead, I can give you some tips.
You're the person to talk to.
Yeah.
Then we need to talk because that's what I want to do. Away from society. I just want to go hike in the woods. Be myself.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, before we close this out, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Any profound wisdom that has really benefited you, even recently or in the past?
Yeah, I think what's really benefiting me right now is loving the humanness of myself. Of like, let's say, if you're a divinity seeker, you want to feel enlightened, you want to feel eternal peace. And then sometimes what happens, maybe you get hard on yourself when you have a off moment, when you're not in a spiritual place or you're having this off moment. And what I've started to do is just feel profound love that I'm so human. I have these human desires and they're just as sacred as the divinity I'm seeking. So little things that can lead to big things, like someone cuts me off when I'm driving and there might be this initial like feeling of like, oh man, like fuck you, man, like why'd you do that? But then like I'll have this, I have this set up to where I'm like, Scarlet, your humanness is so beautiful. Instead of like, Scarlet, you're not supposed to say that about other people. You're unified with other people. You're supposed to be only sharing love. That's kind of what my self-talk was before.
Right.
Now my self-talk is like, celebrate the humanness. Celebrate the fact that I'm having this human response, find it absolutely adorable and love myself deeper for it. And that's what I would encourage people to do is I think the human, whatever it is set up to want this perfection or to really want to succeed. And it's like, just let that go and celebrate your humanness that you're trying. Yeah. Celebrate how cute it is when you fall.
Yeah.
Celebrate the fact that you're even willing to fall. Like that's the human aspect of ourselves that I think has not been talked about or loved enough in the spiritual teaching community. Everyone's like seeking meditation and seeking divinity and seeking this otherworldly goal when we wouldn't be able to have any of these experiences without the human body. So if we're not celebrating the foundation, we're not really experiencing what we think we're experiencing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So now I'm celebrating that. And I think that that's what I want to leave with people is like, have fun celebrating your missteps and how human you are and how beautiful you are.
That, as you're talking, I'm like, this is a more profound and beautiful way to explain grace. And it gives you more leadway to enjoy those moments of grace. And I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Well, I always learn something from you. It's always a pleasure. So
Same. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the Suicide Monk, and we'll see you on the good side.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.